Okay, we wait until both machines are booted. We have VM1 and VM2. You'll see they are both become green here, this icon, when they both started. So machine 2 is having some problems. It's behaving strangely. And it's at the IP address 10.0.0.2. We'll see here 10.0.0.2, that's the machine. Let's investigate. So the first thing they ask is how many open ports are there on machine 2? We can find out using the command pscan. And then we type 10.0.0.2. That will check every port and from 1 to 1024. And port is like a door, so you can connect to it over the network. So in this case, we are scanning that target machine, and might take a moment. You see the open ports and also what service is running. And in this case, we have 3 ports open. You'll see port 23, port 80, and 444. So the port scan can always take a while. In this case, we have 1021 ports closed in this range and 3 ports open. So we have 3 here. Then they tell us the machine 2 is running a legitimate web service. It's running web service. You'll see here port 80 www. It's a web service. Now we can connect to it using the command wget. So wget http://10.0.0.2 and press enter. That downloads the web page, and we can view the web page with the cut commands. So cut index.html, and we see the contents of the web page. So we can copy this. No, it's just one of the ways. You can also do this on the protocol level. For example, with Telnet, we can connect to 10.0.0.2, port 80, and then we send the command that the browser typically sends. So get /http:/1.0 enter, and another enter. And this is what the web browser like a Chrome or Firefox typically does behind the scenes. So it gets the first page, the index page, the slash page, and then it returns the contents of that web page. So the different ways, you can either use wget or telnet to view the web page content. So then they tell us one of the ports, one of the open ports gives you a shell on the machine. So we can do another port scan, and you'll see several ports that are open. So we have ports 23 open, port 80, and might take a moment and we find the third port that is open, 444. So to find out, we can simply connect to a port. So we can say netcat or nc, we connect to the machine 10.0.0.2, and then the port number, in this case 444. Then by default, it doesn't seem like it gives us a shell, but let's try some commands. Who am I? And you'll see it returns root. Or if I type pwd, you'll see the current directory. So this port 444 gives us a bind shell. It's a blind shell. So by default, it doesn't output all these fancy things before. But if we type a command, it runs it. So it's a bind shell. We connect outwards to the port, and we have entry into the machine. So in this case, port 444. Then they ask us about the full path of a script that launched the backdoor. So what is causing this port 444 to run? We could try with lsof and check the port 444, press enter, and you'll see a bunch of output here, and we find here tmp/updater.sh. So that is the backdoor script. Another way to find this is type the command ps-a or ps, and we can find in the running processes here this tmp-updater.sh. So right click copy, we paste it in, there we go. Now there's a command inside the script that opens this backdoor. To take a look at the contents of this script, we type cut tmp-updater.sh. The cut command always shows you the contents of our file. So in this case, we find this command that opens the backdoor. So copy it, paste, and finally they ask us to kill the process. So we have the process here on process ID 53. Now this is random. Anytime a command starts on Linux, it has a random process ID. So this ID, this number, it can change. In this case, we can do kill -953, but this 53 can be something different depending on when you start the computer. So now it killed the process because we run this command. And the command we used to find the name was the ps command. So now we can press Ctrl C. Let's disconnect from this machine 2. You see we are back to the normal shell. And let's try to connect. They ask us to connect to that port again. So we try to connect from port 444. And it tells us we cannot connect. It's connection refused. And finally, they want us to know if the web service is still running. So we can simply scan the target again. If port 80 is open, then the web service is still running. So in this case, port 80 is open, the web service is still running. And if we let it scan, you'll see 444 is closed. We killed that backdoor process, so it's no longer running on that machine. You'll see it doesn't find the backdoor port open anymore.